Chit-Chat, I have to say, I crack up every time when you are standing between Layla and Eva in the national anthem line.
Yep.
Was that intentional or unintentional?
Intentional, for sure.
Why?
For sure.
Why?
It's just really fun just standing in between them. They're like the two giants on our team, so it's just really funny.
It's just like a wide variety of what kind of athlete you
Yeah.
can be.
Yeah, that's where I aspire to be, that tall.
I guess how tough was Monday, just kind of fighting through? It sounded like you were pretty sick and all that. I can imagine trying to play a basketball game while sick doesn't sound very fun.
Mm-hmm. Well, I just knew I needed to push through for our team, and then I knew we would be off the next day. So just looking forward to that off day and getting through that game.
Kylie, what was it like getting back in the swing of things after 3 weeks?
Yeah, it was really nice. 3 weeks flew by, which was good, but I was definitely itching to get back out there, so it felt good to be back.
And then have a big play like the block at the end of the game. What was that like to kind of feel like, was it like, oh, I'm back, you know?
Yeah, it was just good. I think that second half we had great momentum, and we kept going possession by possession. And yeah, we were all just really kind of just gritty, winning that win, so doing whatever I needed to. But yeah, really good team win.
Did you feel 100% when you were out there, or do you feel like you're still kind of warming up to it a little bit?
Yeah, it definitely was an adjustment getting back out there, but I feel really close to being about 100%. Adrenaline really helps in taking ibuprofen and whatnot, but yeah, it definitely helped, and I felt pretty solid.
When did you know, or when was it pretty much disclosed you're going to play?
We had shoot around that morning. I think I was starting to get back into it, and so it's kind of just like a day by day, practice by practice kind of thing. And so I knew that I would probably be playing, but it was kind of still up in the air, but I felt good, so.
On the pregame radio, Coach Jan said you were going to play limited minutes, I think you ended up playing 24. Was that maybe a little bit more than you were expecting to play in your first game back?
I don't even know, to be honest. Like I said, the adrenaline was just running through me. I think we were initially thinking like limited, but whatever I needed to do, whether that was play or not play, just to help the team. So if that meant that I wasn't on the court because my ankle I wouldn't be on the court. So whatever I needed to do.
You're an expert on the anatomy of the ankle.
Yeah, I do a lot of research too on my own. Yeah, I know all the ligaments and everything. So.
Well, Jan was saying that it was like kind of a weird injury, or it wasn't like the more common. So I was curious if that had any impact on coming back and whatnot.
Yeah, I think it was more just like that time span of being out was just longer than the initial or typical sprain. But yeah, I've messed this one up a few times back in high school, and so looking at the MRI, they couldn't tell what was from previous to now, and so that was kind of crazy. But I'm like really good now, so that's all that matters.
Jan has staunchly defended you and supported you to us the last 2 or 3 press conferences, just talking about social media, stuff like that. Is that, kind of a road you've gone down looking at some of that stuff and all that, or do you avoid it at all costs, or how's that play with you?
I have the stuff that, I can talk to my friends on, but I definitely limit what I see. I only see the things that I want to see. I don't have X or anything like that. But, yeah, I think that's a huge thing, is like seeing what you want to see and limiting what might be, holding you back.
Chit-Chat, you guys are going to a stretch here where you get Oregon tomorrow, and then I think it's 3 top 15 teams, just with the schedule ratcheting up, and maybe the last couple of games not being quite your guys' best performances. Just what do you guys want to change as you go into these tougher stretches?
I would say just taking it one game at a time, not trying to look past one team or another, because every game is going to be a dogfight, especially in the Big Ten. And so I'll just say, as a team, just taking it one possession at a time, one game at a time, one trip at a time. That's kind of what I think.
Does it also feel like even all the way to this point from the beginning, you missed some games with an injury sheet, Kylie's missed some games, Ava's had games where she's been in and out of foul trouble. Just does it feel like it's something that just needs to be getting everybody healthy and then everybody playing in the lineup, just so you can have kind of consistently know what's happening with the lineups?
It comes with basketball, injuries, health, everything that comes with basketball. So just being ready for your moment, especially the ones that whose minutes kind of like goes up and down. Just being ready for your moment, and when you get in, just being there.
Chit-Chat, from your vantage point, what do you feel like are the biggest differences from when the offense, runs and flows smoothly, like that third quarter, and then, how the game started where it's choppy and it's kind of hard to get really anybody going, I know there's a lot of factors, but as kind of running the show, what do you feel like is the biggest differences between those stretches?
Mm-hmm. So the game it's a game of runs. So in the beginning, just being cool, calm, collected. Of course, like in the beginning, I wanted to do it better than I had done. So just coming out of halftime, Jan getting on me and my team also uplifted me. That was what I needed, and I knew I needed to stay present during the game.
Jan said that was one of the maddest she's been in
Yeah.
her coaching tenure. Can you corroborate that? Was that a pretty fiery press conference or halftime speech?
I actually liked it. It kind of it motivated me to go out and just like do what I came here for.
Mm-hmm.
And my team also uplifted me. I want to give a shout out to my team because I was really down on myself, but I knew I needed to stay present in the moment for them. So
Kylie, you've been around longer than Chit-Chat. I mean, obviously Jan was an assistant coach for part of that, but obviously she's more on the positive side of time. Just what is it like when she walks in and has that fiery halftime speech? Does it surprise you? Just does it fire you up? Just kind of how did you guys take it?
Yeah, I think similar to Chad, I think it just gets us fired up. And I think we also knew what we're capable of, and we knew we weren't holding that standard in that first half. So just maintaining that and getting that into the second half was really important. So I think it even means more when she does it too, because that's when like she expects more out of us. And so, yeah, it got us fired up for sure.
What, Kylie, I'm curious, like when somebody like Chit-Chat is transferring to Iowa, do you like go online and watch some of her old highlights from Georgia Tech, or like is the season you're seeing out of Chit-Chat, is that something that you like envisioned when you would have maybe seen what she had in the offseason?
I think when there's transfers, we look at like maybe a few clips, but you don't really know much about them. But once they come during the summer, we do a lot of scrimmaging and stuff, so you kind of get a sneak peek at how they're going to be playing. So I kind of already knew she was going to be a hooper. But yeah, no, she's a phenomenal player, and it's so fun to play with her.
Were you on the same team as her in the scrimmages at the start, or did you have to get on the same team with her?
We do it just with our players, so we mix around the teams every single time. So it's always I don't think we're really on the team.
I don't think so.
Yeah, no, we were never really on the same teams, just the way the lineups were. But yeah,
Kylie challenged me too.
yeah.
I was like, thank you, Kylie, for challenging me. So,
With
Way
that,
challenged me.
with that experience of going against Kylie and now getting to experience life without her on the floor, what does she bring to the team, Chit-Chat?
she brings a lot, like a lot of stuff that you don't see on the stat sheet, a lot of stuff that people don't like to do. Kylie does that, and it showed in the game too. And she's a big reason why we won. So,
Kylie, I don't know if you guys are the type of team that like revenge game type stuff, but Oregon was certainly a game where last year there had a pretty significant lead and let it go, and that was the 5th straight loss in that losing streak. This is a game tomorrow that you guys have kind of had circled as we want to get one back with them.
For sure. Yeah, last year was really tough with them, tough go around. So kind of having that mentality going into that game. Like we said, each game's different. So knowing personnel, they have a lot of different players that are playing now this year, so it's not the same team. But yeah, having that mindset going in that, we got to get that one back that we didn't get last year.
I'm kind of curious, if you don't mind, Kylie, if you go back to the social media thing, is that something that you have always steered clear of, or in high school did you have social media, or was there an experience that made you decide never mind, I don't want this as a college athlete?
Yeah, I had it in high school. I think once I got in college, more for my own well-being, I think as the years progressed and as I matured, I was just like, I don't need it. There's no reason to have it. I think it's more bad than it is good, so that's kind of why I steered away from it. But like I said, I still have Instagram, TikTok, all that stuff, and talk to my friends, but staying away from the things that you don't need to see.
Is it easy to avoid that stuff on even Instagram? I know people can DM people if they want to, but do you have just all the filters in place that you can avoid people that you don't want saying things about you or to you?
Yeah, I have the filter, so I really don't see much. Yeah.
I don't know if either of you know this, but tomorrow's a blackout. You've been a part of plenty blackouts here. This is going to be your first one. Just kind of talk about what you feel like the environment's going to feel like.
I think it's going to be crazy. We have literally the best fans. Every time that we walk out into Carver, it's insane. So we're really excited. I think it's going to be a really cool experience.
I will say with my first blackout, I just can't wait to see the fans. I know it's going to be a lot of people there, so excited.
Feel in a way the Big Ten season really starts now?
No, I don't. I think it's because I think when you are in it, right, is every game is hard for a different reason. I mean, they're just hard for different reasons. And I think that every bit of the teams that supposedly you're supposed to beat on paper, they count the same, and they are every bit the separator that the people in the middle are and the people that the top are. So I think if you get lulled into, like, you know, really having emotions, if you played the hardest part of the schedule earlier, let's say you started out with UCLA and Ohio State or Maryland or whatever, I think that discounts the difficulty of the Big Ten. There's just different degrees of difficulty.
That said, the next 2 weeks, how pivotal is one game at a time?
Yeah, you know, it is. And I know maybe people think I'm crazy, but if you don't win the first one and you don't set yourself up to be in this one, then we're having a whole different conversation of how pivotal these games are. But they'd be pivotal for a different reason, right? So I think they're pivotal for, you know, the ultimate goal of where you want to go. I think the key to this journey always is to kind of stay in that present time and to be fully aware that the games, you know, are going to get more competitive and better because everybody's records are real similar now, right? Everybody's jockeying, and a win, you know, it could come down to that one win, right? So yes, it's very pivotal if you want to stay atop the conference, absolutely. And we're going to keep learning a lot more to see, you know, now we've been tested in a lot of different ways, but now we're going to be playing teams that are, they're edgy and they're fighting for a different reason, the same reason we are, is to win the championship, you know, not just try to stay in the middle, you know what I mean? Or like Indiana just trying to get their first one. Oregon has played really, really well, and they know what a road win at a ranked place is going to mean to the end of the season. So you just have to handle the different pivotal moments, and the mental makeup of the teams you face. That's another unique angle of it.
You look at Oregon's point guard, Kylie Feuerbach, she's averaging almost 18 a game in Big Ten play, up there in terms of assists, and
yeah.
She turned it over a little bit, but, you know, just what do you see from her, and how important is it that you have Kylie Feuerbach?
Yeah, I think that Fiso is not talked enough about in this conference. She's probably not quite, you know, averaging quite as much, you know, points, or she's, you know, maybe they haven't won quite as much earlier to get the buzz. She is sensational. Ball screen defense, boy, she is as good as I've seen. She's coming off a screen. They run a lot of great stuff. Callie Graves is a really great coach. You know, he knew what to do with Sabrina Ionescu, right? So he really spreads the floor. And when you're trying to jam those screens, he's got a shooter sitting really deep in corners. But I think she's a really key factor. I'm glad Kylie is back for sure, but she can just get going, and she's really savvy. I'm really impressed with her, and she worked really, really hard this summer. And you know, you stay patient and you work really, really hard. There's a different role in that system, and she's totally improved and really making that engine go.
Could you tell us about the process of getting Kylie back, as far as when you knew that was on the table?
Well, it just, you know, those high ankle sprain type of lengths of time with that bone jam or whatever, you know, there's a pain tolerance aspect to it, but you want to make sure you don't come back too much, so then it just kind of nags, right? So she was having just a heck of a time pushing off, and obviously the game of basketball is all about the pushing off. So she really didn't start practicing until 2 days ago. And she only did quarter court things, maybe ran up and down. The first practice she got back. The second practice, she did a couple up and downs. So I really wasn't sure when we got to Indiana how hard it was going to be for her. But I think the adrenaline, getting into the game and getting confidence that she could kind of manage, you know, what she was feeling. And that was the breakthrough. And then at halftime, you know, it was pretty clear that she is such a big cog in our wheel that she has the skill set and the intellectual capacity of know when to pounce and know when to back off. So we just had to be patient until it got good enough for her to really start practice without fearing that it was gonna, she was gonna retweak it.
I asked you last week about playing time. You said you tell your players to treat every day like a game. That might control for some of the variance you might give between how players play differently in practice versus a game. But how much do you balance, and how much variance is there in between what you're seeing in practice versus what you're seeing in a game?
I mean, I think what I said by that is, meant by that, I guess, is it's a metric of which is used. I think sometimes people think you're arbitrarily just going by gut. You're arbitrarily, I mean, you're going to have camps of people that want it all to be feel and emotion. The way of the world right now is all analytics. Put an AI coach on the sideline. I mean, you'd still critique an AI coach that supposedly has all the, it's like, it's not an exact science. So I try to get as much data as possible because I truly care. I mean, forget the winning and the losing. Every one of my players, I believe they're some of the hardest working players. I believe we have some of the most selfless players. I believe if I could have just freeze a moment in time and put every one of my players in for 1 minute and 30 seconds, they could be the difference in that 1 minute and 30 seconds. I think sometimes, it's cavalier and it's easy to be like, well, why you're not playing or not playing. I bet you most head coaches lose as much sleep over, trying to make sure you're making the best decisions possible, not only to win, but for these kids that are busting their tails. So that's a metric that I use to give clarity. But there is also a feel. There's also, when you're watching it day in and day out, a lot of the intangibles. It's just like, what group is humming together? What's the comfortability of the read? How often are they making the better read over maybe not the greatest read? That stuff you can't put in a box score. And so those are the things, that's the $1 million question. That's the beauty of sports is, you're watching the playoffs and you want them to run, a draw play and they run a little sweep. And why did we run that? Well, they've seen something in practice that the rest of us so clearly have seen differently. So it's just, it's not exact. And it's, you're just trying to get the right combinations, but it's probably the hardest part of coaching for sure.
And how quickly, I know I'm asking you for kind of definite answers on a real gray area here, but how quickly can you figure out, like, they're not seeing it because they're maybe cold coming off the bench, or they're not seeing it because it's just not their day and we need to give them the hook?
Yeah, I don't know. I think there's just feels, and the more experience you've had, right, you get a sense, the experiences of which to shorten the length of time that you're needed to make a decision, or to maybe you made the wrong read, but the next time down, because you have a lot of great practices, a lot of great months, a lot of great years, right? So it's just by virtue sometimes of the database and what you've consistently seen in similar situations, starting probably in the fall. So that is going to be a little bit more of the emotion, a little bit more of just what you've seen and what you've tracked. And I think that's just is, the process and letting it develop, and the kids that have really consistently, shown that. So I don't think there's one exact moment. Sometimes it just depends on what you want to run in the game. You need more defense than you need offense. Which kids kind of can handle switching because you haven't been practicing that as much. So you got to go with the people that aren't going to blow the switch, because if they blow the switch and it's a close game and all of a sudden there's a wide open layup because two people go to a shooter, so a lot of things that you're just trying to weigh in real time. But I don't think there's any moment, or there's no knee-jerk moment where, absolutely not. It just depends on scoring time, pace, and a lot of experiences in similar situations.
Oregon doesn't have a true center in their starting lineup. They go with two forwards, and it's interesting because their 6 foot forward is the one that kind of plays close to the basket, and their 6'2" forward, Mia Jacobs, is the one that can shoot the three and be in the mid-range. I think everybody assumes that in a game where the tallest players, would be Ava that guards her. Is this a game where you can see Hannah guard Mia Jacobs?
It really will. It'll depend. Depends. Jacobs can shoot. I mean, up until the last game, she was shooting 51% from the threes. I think she dropped that down just got a little cold, and she's at 42. No, wait, yeah, 43 for her. And their small forward, Sophia Bell, is at 42. Yeah, I think that could, depending on what we need at the time and who can kind of handle their, I think it's a Tute, I think, is, I love her motor. Boy, she battles. She battles and battles. She reminds me of a little bit of a Journey, Houston, just a little bigger and got another year under her belt, but undersized, but doesn't matter. So that's a pretty lethal combination because she gets she clears the board. She's averaging 3 offensive boards, and she's just mighty. Her duck-ins are powerful, and you just can't, you can't, sometimes you can sag off of the other 4 out there with a little dig in, but if you don't have a hand up, what's impressive about Mia Jacobs is that I've seen her twice in a game, like the kid's right here, right here, but she reads that they're really not aggressively, and she'll just pull it, just kind of like a little guard does. So, yeah, and I think depending on foul trouble, depending on who can really handle the banging more, or maybe we want to give a little break on that. That's why I was really pleased to see when we switched Ava off. We've done that in practice a little bit, but when we did it in Indiana, when I wanted to switch, because I wanted Hannah to go up and trap Shea Chesky, and then Ava had a guard there, number 3, who can, McCluskey. So she was able to handle that. So I hope that practice will help in the game.
Well, I'm curious to ask about Chit-Chat, somebody who Hawkeye fans obviously didn't know
Right.
coming in, and now that she's on the team, when she's healthy, boy, it's like she could be, maybe one or two most valuable players on this year's team. Like, is that something that you really saw that potential at Georgia Tech? Obviously, you saw some potential, certainly, but like, has a lot of that development just happened here in Iowa City and what she's turned into this year?
Well, I think that's what you're hoping, but it's like everything. You see it, but they have to come here and they have to adjust, and they have to, be open and kind of learn the new system. So you never know how a portal kid, you never know how quickly a freshman is going to, really adapt. And I think that's this new model that we're in, right? It's just like everybody just thinks it's going to be instantaneous. And sometimes the trajectory just takes a little bit longer for some than others. And if we stay the course, it can be really great consistently the whole careers. And so that's the thing that we're challenged with in this new model. With Chit-Chat, that's what we were hoping, but you don't really know until you really get to see them and work with them. And that's what's been a really pleasant surprise is she's just really, she's as fast as I thought, she's as shifty as I thought. But when we get her confidence and just understanding everything, I think she's going to be a really consistent, lethal threat. It's just, she's still a freshman in a weird way. Even though she's a sophomore, she didn't really play a lot of minutes till the end of that season. And she's started a couple at the end. But now she started completely over. And oh, by the way, you have to run everything. And so now she's coming into a whole new system, whole new terminology. I want her to do a couple things totally different than what she was, taught before. So the time, I think, is what we're going to just keep seeing. It's going to be fun. Because you even saw the first half. Nobody had a great first half. But when Chat really didn't have a great first half, we really didn't have a great first half. And when she came in, man, that second half, obviously Kylie's defense, everybody picked it up, but she had a key steal. Chad had a key pull-up jumper, and she had a big-time 3, all within that run coming back. And when she starts to really own the impact, I think she can be lethal and a great, an even better leader for us, both sides of the ball. But I think she can become one of the best in the big.
You have an update on Emily?
Day to day.
At what point do you kind of decide that you just need to shut it down for the season? Because you talked about with Kylie that it's going to take a little bit of time for a player that's been injured and out for a long time to get back into their 100%. At what point do you decide to shut it down?
Different person, different situation. So you have to kind of work with that, But Kylie's was a situation where, we knew she was ready to get back, and she had to manage it, and I knew she would manage what she was feeling. So every situation's different. So it's not really a point in time of, with Emily, totally different.